scrimmage simulation. So we're starting off, we're gonna do our, we're gonna buy our fifth fermenter, and we've already done it, as you can see here. We didn't change the date that uh, we didn't adjust the date that it was being delivered on so that it would be as quick as possible. Next, you're gonna see that we took out a loan for $30,000. We selected the lowest interest rate, and we plan on paying this off fairly quickly when the simulation starts. Next, you're gonna see our 4 production orders we made. They're gonna be right there. We're making one of the Munich Madness, 1 Taj Mahal, and 2 Alley Cats to start. So that is everything in Scrimmage Sim. Now I'm going to share my spreadsheet. So this is my spreadsheet. In the beginning, in the start, I made all the production orders for, or made all the production for Taj Mahal 2000. And then I took a look at the Munich Madness production. I adjusted that so it was, you wanted to make it so it gets to about 2000 as fast as you can. But I was noticing I was having problems having lost sales in Edgar. And my goal was to not have any lost sales at all in my whole spreadsheet. So I had to lower Munich Madness down to 1500 production for the first 5 months. I then adjusted Alley Cat like how I did in all the other spreadsheets, except around April I started producing more. One, because that's when their fifth fermenter came in, but also just because the summer months require more Alley Cat to meet the demand. So for the prices for Taj Mahal, I tried to leave them the same, but I was having, no matter how much I increased the production towards the end, I was still having lost sales. So I ended up having to increase the price to $18 for 3 months. And that made it so I don't have any lost sales. Alley Cat, I did this similar to what I have done in the past. I left it the same for the first few months, and then as soon as the summer months came in and had higher demand, I raised the price up slowly to 17 at its peak, and then lowered it back down slowly, back down to 1550. The Munich Madness, it has a low elasticity, so you can kind of play with the price a little more. The starting price was 13. I was just trying to get the lost sales out with the production I had, so I just kind of was raising it until I had until my lost sales were gone, and I had it was kind of like a balance thing. But I raised it up to 15 for the first few months, and then I lowered it down to 14. But overall, I raised it from its starting price. Edgar, my goal with Edgar with the production was to keep it around 2000. I think I did a fairly good job. But to keep it from lost sales, I raised the price for a few months to 15 and then to 16 in the last months just to make sure I had no lost sales. I had a final EBT of $33,817, and we're going to use this spreadsheet for the simulation. We're just going to try and follow the production orders the best we can. It's not going to be perfect because I believe each production order is 1,224 or something, and it's not going to work out evenly. So we're just going to have to make more or less depending on what happens in the simulation. We're just going to have to adjust in the moment, kind of. So that's my spreadsheet. Now William's going to show you his spreadsheet.
Okay, so this is my spreadsheet. First, we're going to be talking about Taj Mahal. So I changed the price from 17.50 to $18 throughout all months. And I started with low production in January and February and increased to 3,000 after that all the way until we get to the end of November and then we drop back down to 2,000. I did this so I can push the alley cat production. And for alley cat's price, I had it at 17.50 for the first 2 months, and then I dropped it down to 16.50 until we get to July, and I increased it back to $17. And towards September to December, I decreased the price to 15 just so I can have a change in demand and have more customers buying supplies because I noticed that my ending inventory at first was a lot and I was trying to shrink it as much as I can without dropping the gross profit. So as you see in Alley Cat, this is going to be the highest production L for me, and you see the 6,000 from February all the way to I think August, and it drops back down to 4,000 from September to December. And the new L, I had that price. The starting price was 13. I boosted it up to $14 from January all the way to April. And I noticed that the change in demand was always about the same for those without dropping my gross profit. And with the production that I have going for Alleycat, I had to definitely move and adjust the production for this L. So starting with 3,000, drops down to 2,000, 1,000, and it slowly increases from April all the way down to December, being at a steady 3,000. Edgar Ill. So with Edgar Ill, I kind of just stayed at 15.50 for majority until I got to June. June is when I increased to 16 just to get a little more gross profit. And just to make sure I don't have any lost sales for any L, that's really why I had to increase the price here. And then you see the months following, I drop back down to 15.50. And then you get down to November and December when I drop it down to 14. And this is just to get more rid of the ending inventory because I noticed on my previous spreadsheets, I have a lot of ending inventory and I just want to get as much gross profit as I can from that. And my ending EBT is 324,455. And this is my spreadsheet.
Okay, so this is my spreadsheet. Starting with Taj Mahal, I let's see. I tried to keep the production more consistent after the first month since we already had a high number of beginning inventory. So after April, it was 4,000 all the way through. I also didn't change the price. I noticed with most sales, other than Alley Cat, changing the price isn't really necessary because it just causes more complication in the actual simulation and it's not necessary to get a high enough EBT. So I left that at 1750 and then the inventory was a little around 2000 above and a little under. Just was based on when the other ales demanded more. For Alley Cat, this one I raised the price to 17 and then in April, right before the summer months, and then it was as high as 1750 through the summer months, and then I put it back down to 1550. And also in the beginning, I realized that we still had a decent amount of sales, so I still raised it up $1 before it was raised even more during the summer months. I noticed that didn't leave any loss in sales. And the production, I started a little bit higher and then during the summer months, it was also a little higher because it is a summer ale. For this Munich one, I really didn't touch much with it. I did a little production around 2,500, a little bit more in the beginning, but I also didn't touch the price with this one just because it's a newer ale. And I realized that leaving it consistently, it still got me the ending EBT. So yeah, you see it kind of had the same amount of sales and pretty consistent inventory, even though it wasn't that much. And then for Edgar Ale, this one was based off all the other ales, so I tried to move the other ales around so that I still had ending inventory and no loss in sales, but I kept the price similar and the same throughout with this one. And the beginning inventory, there was more in, so there was less production, but the production still was around 2,000. And then I also did the fifth fermenter as soon as I could, which we will also do in the simulation. And my ending EBT was $325,365. And I'm also going to talk about positions. So we noticed that what works best for us is what we've been doing. So I will be managing the work center queue and also changing the prices. And then Logan's going to be looking at his spreadsheet and the sales to tell William when to put in the orders and also when to pay off the loans. And yeah, that's our team meeting.